Hi, my name is Dina Betty, and I thank you for joining us on this video series. For a vast majority of the people watching this video, you know the tragedy that struck our family 3 years ago. But for those of you who don't, I want to take a brief moment and share our story with you. Like I said, 3 years ago, our life was changed forever. In March of 2014, my daughter Jenna was out taking a walk with her friend. And on their way back, they took the shortcut home, and that was through the railroad tracks. They decided to sit and talk on the railroad ties and carve into them. And everything was fine until a train quickly descended upon them. And both of the kids, according to witnesses, cleared the tracks. But Jenna had left her cell phone on the tracks, and in a flash, she decided to go back to try to retrieve it. And in that moment, she was struck and killed instantly. When I found out Jenna was gone forever, something inside of me broke. And in a lot of ways, since those 3 years have passed, it's broken me open. And it's a feeling that's very difficult to put into words. But what I can tell you is I have felt called to show people how to live a life, a full life, despite their circumstances, to live a life of joy and peace and fulfillment, despite having tragedy strike your life, despite your circumstances. And that's really what this video series is all about. It's about having a beautiful life despite your hardships. And I'm so excited to share with you all the things that we have in store. You'll watch the video series every week on Thursday at 7 p.m. and we'll present it to you through our YouTube channel and on Facebook. So today we're going to talk about the first topic in our series, and it's called No One is Broken. It's really the framework for our entire conversation for the whole year. So let's chat about intentions, either good or bad. I would argue that there's really no such thing as bad intentions because we're either moving away from pain or towards pleasure. That's really what it all boils down to. When Jenna passed away, I had this great desire to move towards my love for her instead of sitting in a place that was getting me to go away from the pain. Because had I concentrated on the pain, I would have been concentrating on the loss of Jenna and not the gift of Jenna. So we're going to talk a lot about in our series of really what we're attracting in our life. If we're concentrating on pain, guess what we're bringing more of into our life? More pain. But if we're concentrating on the gifts in our life and what we want to attract in our life, then guess what we bring more of into our life? More of the joy and fulfillment and the peace that all of us, and you ask anybody, all of us want in our life. Another topic we're going to talk a lot about is how our past doesn't have to be our future. We all have things in our lives that have hurt us, that have been tragic, and have been heartbreaking to deal with. And oftentimes, those are the situations that we have a difficult time getting over and that we don't even know linger inside ourselves. You know, I think about the great people of the past, like Edison or Oprah or Abraham Lincoln, Walt Disney, people who endured great failures in their life, but they endured and they created greatness. And I think so often, so many of us try to avoid pain, like I was saying earlier, and that we work from a place of fear, that we don't keep trying to be all that we can be. And we have such powerful potential in all of us. So we're going to talk a lot about how our past doesn't have to be our future. You know, it would be really easy for me to just hang it up and say something horrible happened in my life. Probably one of the worst things that could happen in your life, losing a child. And I could just hang it up for the rest of my life. And I know people who struggle with that, who have lost children and who are barely hanging on because they can't imagine life not being the way it used to be. But the thing that I've learned is that we get to keep creating. We really are the bosses of our lives. We are the ones who are the sole architects. And we're going to talk a lot about personal power in our video series. It's one of the things that I would be so honored to be able to coach you and mentor you to really draw upon all that's inside you. Because the one of the most powerful things that I've learned is nobody can take that away. As long as I'm mentally sound, nobody can take that personal power of thought away from me. And it's the thought that really drives our lives. It's the thoughts that create the experience of our lives. And so if we think our lives are horrible, guess what? They're going to be horrible. And if we think our lives are beautiful, well, then the opposite is true. They're going to be beautiful. You get to create that. And it's really hard to create from a space that doesn't match our expectations. I never expected to have tragedy strike my family, especially to Jenna. She was the CEO of our family. I never in a million years would have thought my 14-year-old daughter would have died. She was here in the morning and then gone. But I've been able to go on with a life of fulfillment. And that's something that I'm so passionate about sharing. That's what I really feel Jenna's passing has taught me that I'm supposed to teach others. And so we'll talk a lot about that in our video series. And I'm going to be there for you to help create that and manifest that in your life. Moving on, we're going to talk about another topic that's very exciting to me. And it's the topic of everything is achievable. But if you're like me and you hear that everything is achievable, you'll probably call BS, because obviously we all have different gifts. We're not the fastest runner, the best artist, although some of us are the fastest runner and the best artist. Not everybody is. But the type of everything is achievable that we're going to be talking about is the inside job. Everything within ourselves, as far as taking over ownership of our entire self, is achievable. And it's such an exciting topic. It talks a lot about the empowerment of responsibility and taking responsibility for ourselves and our lives and what we want to create. And it doesn't ever not consider our hardships, is that we do have circumstances that we have to work around, but that we can work around them, live in them, be immersed in them, and still find joy and still find peace from within. And that's a beautiful, powerful place to come from. I recently ran into a lady as I was walking my dog, and she's a lovely lady, and she had a dog as well, but she was very nervous around my Labrador, which is a bigger dog. And she shared this story with me that I thought was so fascinating, and it resonated with me. And she said when she was a little girl, her grandma told her to be very afraid of dogs. But she was never bitten by a dog. She'd never witnessed a dog attack. She was just told to be afraid of dogs. And so she grew up with this belief system that dogs were scary. But it was manifested without any substantiation about any experience. It's just something that she grew up and she believes. And to this day, she's afraid of dogs because her grandma told her to believe so. Well, guess what? We all have situations like that. We were born with a blank slate, and we were put into families that created belief systems within us. And oftentimes those beliefs we could better categorize as limiting beliefs. So the fact that we're going to work on those beliefs and you're going to understand what makes you tick, either in a negative way or a positive way, is going to open up huge doors for you. And you're going to be amazed at the release that comes over you just by getting in touch with your belief system. So that's an exciting part of our video series, and I'm so looking forward to it. It's some time and weeks away, but we're going to get there, and it will have a huge impact on your life, I promise you. In closing our Conversational Change video today, I want to end with the idea that none of us are broken, that life is a journey and it's something to be worked on and to honor the process. There's not a final destination, but in each moment that we can find joy. I'm going to share one last story with you because I love stories, because they resonate with me and there's depth to them. And what you take away from it might be a little different than what I take away from it, but it's an opportunity to learn. So this is the story. One day, a girl was walking and she fell into a deep hole. She tried everything that she could do to get out of the hole, but nothing worked. Soon, another lady walked by. She introduced herself as a therapist, and she said, "Young lady, may I help you? Is there anything that I can do to help you get out of the hole?" And the lady in the hole said, "Well, I've been in this hole and I can't get myself out. I've tried everything to get out." So the therapist said, "Well, do you have struggles in your past that maybe caused you to fall into this deep, deep hole?" So the girl in the hole said, "Well, maybe I have some." And with that, they started to talk about some of her past experiences. Well, that was it, and the therapist said, "I'm sorry, but time is up and I need to go. But if you're still in the hole next week, we can chat even more." So she thanked her and off the therapist went. Well, soon after the therapist had gone, a doctor came by, and the doctor said, "Whoa, may I help you? May I help you get out of this hole?" And the young girl said, "Yes, I've tried everything that I can. And I'm really sad that I'm in this hole and desperate to get out." And with that, the doctor wrote a prescription and said, "You take this medicine and it will help you feel better." And with that, the doctor left. Well, then the third person came by and said, "Can I help you? You look like you're in a desperate situation inside that hole." And the young girl said, "Yes, I've tried everything to get out of this hole and nothing seems to be working." And with that, the person outside the hole jumped inside the hole. And the young girl said, "What are you doing? Now we're both stuck in the hole." And the person inside the hole said, "It's okay, because I've been in this hole before and I know how to get us both out." And I tell you that story not to criticize therapists or doctors, because I see value in both of them. But I tell you that story to really impress upon you what this next year of videos is going to be like. I'm going to help you maybe get out of your hole, because I've taught myself how to get out of my own. And with that, I thank you for tuning in today, and we look forward to seeing you next week at the same time and same channel.